Welcome back, students, to the lecture series of the cell signaling. Now, this is the third lecture in the series, and today we are going to talk about the second messengers. Now, what are second messengers? How do they help in cell signaling, and where they are being used in the signaling pathway that we are going to try to understand in today's lecture. Now, we know that the signals are received at the surface of the cell by either by G protein linked receptors or by enzyme linked receptors. Now, these signals are relayed into the cell interior by a combination of small and large intracellular signaling molecules. So these intracellular signaling molecules, they form a chain. A cascade is formed, and then through this cascade or through this pathway, the target proteins ultimately altered, and these altered target proteins then modify the behavior of the cell. So the small intracellular signaling molecules or the small intracellular mediators, or alternatively we call them second messengers. Obviously the first messengers are your extracellular signals. These are your small intracellular signaling molecules, and they are generated in large numbers in response to activation and activation by the signal molecule. And these responses, these second messengers, they rapidly diffuse away from their source, broadcasting the signal to other parts of the cell. The examples may be cyclic AMP, calcium plus 2 ions that are water soluble, and these diffuse in the cytosol, whereas others such as diacylglycerol, it is a lipid soluble molecule and it diffuses in the plane of the plasma membrane. In both the cases, whether it is water soluble or lipid soluble, they pass the signal on by binding to and altering the behavior of the selected signaling proteins or the targeted proteins. Now, what are these how many kinds of intracellular signaling proteins are working in a signaling pathway? Now, the signaling pathway is connecting the extracellular signal with the nuclear machinery where the gene transcription is finally occurring. So the pathway is starting from the cell surface to the nucleus. So in between, there are various components that will relay the signal or pass on the signal from the cell surface to the nucleus. Now we take this example in which the target is a gene regulatory protein, and the extracellular signal is causing a change in the gene expression. So here you see the gene transcription is occurring. So the signal is resulting in the gene transcription. So now what are the different proteins that will pass on the signal or be incorporated in the pathway? So there are various proteins that we can see here. There is a scaffold protein, relay proteins, adapter proteins, bifurcation proteins, amplifiers, transducers. So there are various signaling proteins that will modify the cell behavior. Now, what are these exactly? These molecules or these proteins going to do? So we try to understand the different functions of these proteins. Now, as you can see here, there is a relay protein. Relay protein, just as you run in a relay race, you pass on the baton from one player athlete to the other athlete. Same way, these relay proteins pass on the signal from one signaling protein to the other signaling protein, to the next component in the chain. Then there are messenger proteins that carry the signal from one part of the cell to the other part, such as from cytosol to the nucleus. Okay, so the message is being passed by the messenger cells within the cell itself. So here you can see it is a messenger protein from cytosol to the nucleoplast. The message is being carried on. Then there are adapter proteins that link one signaling protein to another without themselves conveying a signal. So they are just as a linker protein. They are only linking two different components in the pathway. So they are the adapter proteins. Then next are your amplifier and transducer proteins. Now, when a signal is received by the receptor, then the signal may be very weak. Suppose you have sound source coming from various places, and the distant one you cannot hear very loud. So, to make that sound audible, you are putting up many kind of speakers or loudspeakers so that the sound may be amplified. Similarly, when the signal is very low, of very low intensity, then it has to be improved so that the signal may be passed on. So there is an amplifier protein that will amplify the signal. This will combine the it will increase the intensity of the signal so that it may be received and interpreted by the next molecule in the chain. Next is your bifurcation protein. Now, bifurcation protein, when the signal intensity is too large and the message needs to be split into two different pathways, then there is a bifurcation protein that will split the signal into two separate pathways. Then an integrator protein that will integrate signal from two different sources and integrate them into one single signal and pass on to the next component. Now here we also came across the transducer protein. The transducer protein, it converts the signal into a different form. Suppose you, as in case of we can take photosynthesis, there you have the photons or the light energy that is being converted into the chemical energy of the organic molecules. So same way here also, the molecule converts one kind of information into another kind of information. So, a particular example of a protein that works as a transducer as well as amplifies a signal is a cyclic AMP molecule. The other proteins are your latent gene regulatory proteins that are activated at the cell surface and then migrate to the nucleus to stimulate uh, the gene transcription. Then there are modulator proteins, modulator proteins. They modify the activity of intracellular signaling proteins and thereby regulate the strength of the signal along the pathway. Then there may be anchoring proteins or scaffold proteins that integrate the that bind multiple signaling molecules together in a functional complex and often hold them at a specific location. So we are going to discuss some of these in detail in the next few slides. But these are the main types or the representative types of intracellular signaling proteins that you can find in a typical signaling pathway. Now, these intracellular signaling proteins, they also work as molecular switches. So most prominent or the mainly that you can see, you can observe in a biochemical process is the ATP and GTP. most commonly, or we can say that these are the two types of intracellular signaling proteins that act as molecular switches. So what does a switch do? Switch either puts on the mechanism, or it puts off the mechanism. So that means these proteins will act as an off on and off switch for a particular reaction. So in this case, we take both the examples. First, the ATP. Now, in case of ATP, the uh, signaling protein is activated by addition of the phosphate group, and it is inactivated by the removal of the phosphate group. So you see here, it is the addition, the ATP molecule converts to ADP, and the phosphate group is added to the signaling protein. So this becomes activated. And when it gives out the phosphate group, it becomes inactivated and the mechanism is put off. So simply addition or removal of the phosphate group activates or inactivates the process. Now, another signaling molecule is your GTP. Now, if you remember, we talked about the G protein linked receptors, where the alpha unit uh, of the G protein was having a GTP binding domain. So, in inactive state, the GDP was bound there, and in active state, the GTP was bound. So, there is a difference in the activity of ATP and GTP or GDP. Now, what is the difference? In case of ATP, the phosphate group is either added or removed. But in case of GTP and GDP, there is no addition or removal of phosphate. Rather, it is the exchange of the GDP for GTP. So, there is exchange of bound GDP for GTP, not the addition or deletion of phosphate. So if GDP is bound, then the molecule is in active state, and if GTP is bound, then molecule is in active state. Now I told you when we discussed about different kinds of signaling proteins, intracellular signaling proteins, then I told you about integrator proteins. Now these integrator proteins, they integrate the signal and generate downstream signals. Now, how are they doing it? They can do it by possibly two different mechanisms. The first mechanism is that the two different kinds of receptors are activated on the cell surface by two different kinds of molecules. So they both will, because the receptors are different, the signal molecules are different, so the pathway that they activate is also different. But before they finally get to the target will only become activated when both the pathways integrate or activate the target. So just by stimulation of one pathway, the target won't be activated. Rather, it requires the pathway from B signal also to be activated. So the Y molecule, Y protein will only be activated when it is phosphorylated by both the pathways. Another instance is, it may be that the A protein, the B protein, they both activate different molecules. So A activates A molecule, B activates B molecule, and then they both combine, and this activated dimer, this now becomes activated and passes on the signal. So it is not another Y molecule that is acting. It is the A activated small a molecule, B activated small b molecule, and both the small a and small b units, they combined together to make up one single activated molecule. So the signal has been integrated in this form and it will be passed on in the downstream signals. So this can be done by both ATP or GTP also. So the same reaction holds for ATP, as in this we see with the help of ATP, and same reaction holds true for GTP or GDP also. Now, the intracellular signaling complexes enhance the speed, efficiency, and specificity of the response. How will they enhance the speed or efficiency and specificity of the response? Are these scaffold proteins. Now I told you there was in the previous slide there was a scaffold protein to which many of the signaling proteins were being bound. So this scaffold protein gives a platform or a launching or a position or a stage where different kinds of inactive intracellular signaling proteins can bind together. So they form a complex. They form a complete complex module on which different intracellular signaling proteins are locked. Now these, as soon as the signal comes to the receptor, these all molecules are activated in sequence, one after the other. But because they are all holed up in the scaffold protein, the passage of the signal is very rapid. So this helps in speeding up the signaling pathway, and it also results in the efficiency and specificity of the response. Another option is that the assembly of the signaling complex following receptor activation occurs. Now there is an inactive receptor and then the signal molecule activates the receptor, and there are different intracellular signaling proteins that will now become activated. They all, as soon as the signal molecule binds to the receptor, these intracellular signaling proteins bind to the receptor also. They also bind to the receptor as soon as signal molecule binds to receptor. Now these molecules will become activated. So in all together, one single event converts more molecules into active state. So these docking sites are now provided, and the receptor gets activated, and these intracellular signaling proteins also get activated. Now, the interaction between intracellular signaling proteins are mediated by modular binding domains. So now, whether the combination of the signaling molecules is stable or it in a transient phase, it all depends on a variety of highly conserved small binding domains that are found in many intracellular signaling proteins. Now small binding domains, so there should be small positions or sites where they can bind to each other. So those binding sites are known as binding domains. Now each of these compact protein modules binds to a particular structural motif in the protein or lipid with which the signaling protein interacts. Now because of these modular domains, signaling proteins bind to one another in multiple combinations. So just like the Lego bricks. So you have puzzles and you make those puzzles together and make a block. So building blocks are there. So these building blocks are you can combine them into multiple combinations. Many possibilities are available. So same way here also, different kinds of proteins can combine with one another in different combinations with the other proteins, and they often form three-dimensional network of interactions that determines the route followed by the signaling pathway. Now, by joining the existing domains together in novel combinations, the use of such modular binding domains has presumably facilitated the rapid evolution of new signaling pathways. So some examples are the SRC homology 2 domains, the phosphotyrosine binding domains, which bind to the phosphorylated tyrosines in a particular peptide sequence on activated receptors or intracellular signaling proteins. Or there may be SRC homology 3 region or the domain that binds to short proline rich amino acid sequences. So there are various homology domains or the binding domains to which these molecules or intracellular proteins can bind together into different complexes and into different combinations and activate the signaling cascade so that it passes on effectively and in less duration to from one molecule to the other so as to generate a response.